Ever get that feeling when someone compliments you, but something just feels off? Like behind that smile, there's something else entirely. Carl Jung spent decades studying human behavior, and he uncovered something disturbing. True jealousy never shows itself openly. It hides, it disguises itself. And the people who are most envious of you are often the ones who pretend to be the most supportive. Jung believed that a person's shadow self, that dark, unaccepted part of themselves, projects onto others what they themselves can't have. And when someone is jealous of you, this projection happens in ways so subtle that you could spend years with this person without realizing that deep down they secretly resent you. Today, you're going to learn the 5 signs that Carl Jung identified to recognize when someone is jealous of you, but pretends they're not. And at the end, I'll show you 3 psychological shielding techniques based on Jung's analytical psychology, so you can protect yourself from these people before they tear you down. If you've ever suspected someone close to you, pay attention, because your unconscious might be trying to warn you about something your conscious mind isn't ready to accept. Sign number 1, backhanded compliments. The first sign Jung identified is this: the person compliments you, but always adds a disguised criticism. You get a promotion, and they say, "That's great. You deserve it. You've worked so hard. I could never dedicate myself like that. I'm too focused on my family." You buy a new car, and they comment, "Wow, that's beautiful, but it must guzzle gas, right?" You lose weight, and they observe, "You've lost too much weight. Be careful you don't get sick." These are what we call backhanded compliments. The person acknowledges your achievement, but immediately plants a seed of doubt, fear, or insecurity. They compliment you with one hand and diminish you with the other. Jung explained this through the concept of the shadow self. The envious person can't accept their own flaws and limitations. So when they see you achieving something they desire but don't have, their shadow self is activated. And instead of dealing with their own frustration, they project it onto you through seemingly innocent comments. Think about it. If someone is genuinely happy for you, the compliment is clean. No buts, no reservations, no comparisons. When the person adds a criticism after the compliment, they're actually trying to diminish your joy, because their joy depends on you not shining so brightly. A real-life example. Emily got accepted into a master's program at a prestigious university. Her co-worker, upon hearing the news, said, "Congratulations, but are you really going to be able to handle working and studying at the same time? I tried, and I almost had a nervous breakdown." See what happened there? The compliment was immediately tainted by a projection of the co-worker's own inability. She couldn't do it, so she plants the seed of doubt that Emily won't be able to either. This behavior is so dangerous because it's subtle. If you confront the person, they'll say, "But I was just worried about you. I just wanted to warn you." And you end up looking crazy, exaggerated, too sensitive, but your unconscious knows the truth. That strange feeling you get when you receive these compliments isn't paranoia, it's your inner wisdom warning you. Jung said that the unconscious sees what the conscious mind refuses to see. When you feel that something is wrong, even without being able to explain it, trust it. Your body doesn't lie. Sign number 2, they minimize your achievements. The second sign is even more subtle. The person always finds a way to diminish your achievements. You share good news, and they respond with indifference or quickly change the subject. Or worse, they compare your achievement to something bigger that they or someone else did. You close an important deal and they comment, "Cool. Oh, my cousin closed a deal for 3 times that amount last week." You get promoted and they say, "That's nice." But promotions don't really mean much these days, right? What really matters is salary. You publish an article and they respond, "Nice. I published one too, but mine was in an international journal." See the pattern? They never let you celebrate alone. They always need to steal your moment or diminish your victory. Jung called this shadow competition. The envious person can't bear that you have something they don't. So they use two strategies. Either they ignore you completely, denying the importance of your achievement, or they place themselves above you, reaffirming their superiority. In both cases, the goal is the same: to prevent you from feeling fulfilled. Because if you feel fulfilled, they will have to face their own emptiness. And that's unbearable for someone who hasn't yet done the work of individuation, the process that Jung described as the journey of becoming who you really are, accepting both your light and your shadow. Think about this example. Peter passed a very competitive civil service exam. He called his best friend to tell him the news, excited. The friend's response was, "Oh, really? That's nice. But civil service jobs are pretty undervalued these days, you know. I prefer working in the private sector. I earn much more." Peter hung up the phone feeling empty, as if his achievement didn't matter. Here's the truth that hurts. People who truly love you celebrate your victories as if they were their own. Envious people destroy your victories so that theirs seem bigger. And the worst part is that often these people are so close to you, family, childhood friends, longtime colleagues, that you feel guilty for suspecting them. But Jung was clear. Proximity doesn't guarantee authenticity. Some of the most toxic relationships are precisely those that you maintain out of obligation, out of history, out of fear of being alone. Sign number 3, they imitate you obsessively. Third sign, and this is one of the most disturbing, the person starts to imitate you. They copy your way of dressing. They adopt your expressions. They buy the same things as you. They follow the same paths. And when you realize it, it seems like they're trying to become you. At first glance, this might seem like admiration. And maybe it even is, but it's a sick admiration, because it's not about learning from you. It's about replacing you. Jung explained that when someone hasn't developed an authentic self, a unique, solid, genuine identity, they try to fill that void by appropriating the identity of others. They see in you what they would like to be, but instead of doing the internal work of building that in themselves, they simply copy the external shell. This is dangerous because it creates a dynamic of silent competition. They want what you have. They want to be who you are. And unconsciously, they see you as a threat, because as long as you exist being authentic, they will always be an imitation. Think about this scenario. Emily had a friend who started going to the same places she did, dressing in similar clothes, using the same slang, even cutting her hair the same way. At first, Emily felt flattered, but over time, she started to notice something strange. The friend wasn't just copying, she was also competing. If Emily bought a purse, the friend bought a better one. If Emily traveled somewhere, the friend went somewhere more exclusive. It was like she was trying to be an upgraded version of Emily. Carl Jung would say that this friend was projecting her own lack of identity onto Emily. Instead of developing who she really was, she was trying to steal Emily's essence. And that, inevitably, breeds resentment. Because no matter how much she copies, she'll never be the original. And that eats her up inside. If someone close to you imitates you obsessively, pay attention. It's not homage, it's invasion. And people who invade your identity will eventually want to destroy you to take your place. Sign number 4, quiet, constant competition. The fourth sign is subtle but devastating. The person turns everything into a competition. Even the simplest, most trivial things become a contest. You mention you slept poorly, and she says she slept worse. You complain about being tired, and she lists everything she did that day to prove she's more tired. You share a problem, and she interrupts you to talk about a bigger problem. It seems childish, but it's profoundly toxic, because this constant competition prevents any genuine connection. You can never be vulnerable. You can never just be. Everything becomes a fight over who suffers more, who achieves more, who is more, who has more. Jung explained this through the concept of ego inflation. When someone doesn't have an authentic self, their ego tries to compensate by inflating itself, comparing itself, always placing itself above. And this inflation is fueled by diminishing others. She only feels big if you feel small. And here's the problem: you don't realize you're even in a competition, because to you, it's just a conversation. But to her, it's a silent war where she always needs to be on top. An example: John was telling a colleague about running 3 miles for the first time. The colleague immediately said, "Only 3 miles? I run 6 miles every day, easy." John wasn't competing. He was sharing a small personal victory. But the colleague turned it into a contest that John didn't even know he was participating in. This behavior is exhausting, because you can never celebrate anything without the person trying to overshadow you. You can never feel pain without her invalidating it. Everything revolves around proving that she is superior. And you know what Carl Jung said about this? That truly secure people don't need to compete. They can celebrate their victories without diminishing yours. They can acknowledge your pain without invalidating theirs, because their internal security doesn't depend on your inferiority. If you have someone in your life who turns everything into a competition, that person doesn't see you as a friend. They see you as a rival, and as long as you're beside her, you'll never be free to just be. Sign number 5. Disguise joy when you fail. And we come to the 5th and most painful sign. The person feels joy when you fail. She doesn't show it openly, of course, but you can feel it. In the eyes, in the tone of voice, in the speed with which she changes the subject when you tell a victory. Versus the sudden interest when you recount a failure. You lose a project, and she says, "I figured that would happen." These things are really complicated. You end a relationship, and she comments, "I always thought you two weren't a good match." You fail a test, and she sighs, "Oh, but it was really hard. Nobody passes it the first time." See what she's doing? She's validating your failure. She's subtly telling you that it was expected that you'd fail. And moreover, she's placing herself in the position of someone who always knew you couldn't do it. Jung called this Schadenfreude, pleasure in the misfortune of others. And he explained that this happens when someone is so submerged in their own shadow self that the only way to feel good is by seeing others suffer. Think, if you really love someone, that person's pain hurts you. Her failure saddens you. You want to help, comfort, support. But when someone has secret jealousy of you, your failure is her relief, because while you're down, she can feel superior. She can finally breathe. A real case. Ashley was fired from a job she loved. She told a close friend, hoping for support. The friend's response was, "I always thought that company wasn't for you. You deserve something more." Simple, you know. Ashley felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. The friend didn't offer comfort. She offered confirmation that Ashley wasn't good enough. And here's the brutal truth. People who feel pleasure at your pain are not your friends. It doesn't matter how long you've known each other. It doesn't matter how many memories you share. If someone feels relieved when you fail, that person sees you as a threat, not as company. Jung said that you recognize true love by shared pain. If someone suffers with you, that person loves you. If someone rejoices secretly, that person envies you. And envy, unlike what many think, isn't admiration. It's disguised hate, the psychological root of jealousy according to Jung. Now that you know the 5 signs, you need to understand why. Why would someone close to you feel jealousy instead of genuine joy? Jung explained that jealousy is born from the unintegrated shadow self. When a person doesn't do the work of looking inward, of accepting their failures, their fears, their limitations, she projects all of that onto others. And when she sees someone achieving something she desires but doesn't have the courage to pursue, her shadow self is activated. Instead of thinking, "I can achieve that too," she thinks, "Why can she do it and I can't?" And that thought quickly turns into resentment. The problem is that most people are unaware of this. They genuinely believe that they are being friends, that they are protecting you when they criticize, that they are helping you when they minimize. But in reality, they are just feeding their own shadow self with the light that you emit. And the more you shine, the more their shadow self grows, to the point where the only way for them to feel good is to extinguish you. Why you attract envious people. Here's a truth that you need to hear. If you constantly attract envious people, it's not a coincidence. And no, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's precisely the opposite. Jung said that light attracts shadow. When you're genuinely individuating, when you're becoming who you truly are, honestly, authentically, you emit a frequency that unsettles those still living a lie. Think of it this way: someone hiding behind a false persona, a social mask they've created to be accepted, feels threatened when they see someone living without one, because your authenticity exposes their falsity. Your courage to be yourself highlights their cowardice in continuing to pretend, and that generates envy, not envy of your possessions, envy of your freedom. You aren't attracting envious people because you're problematic. You're attracting them because you're free, and freedom is unbearable for those who've chosen to live imprisoned. But here's the problem. If you don't learn to protect yourself, these people will suck your energy until they destroy you. Because untreated envy transforms into sabotage, and sabotage, if not stopped, turns into destruction. Through psychological shielding techniques, according to Jung. So how do you protect yourself? Jung offered 3 practical techniques rooted in analytical psychology. First technique, identify and distance. As soon as you recognize the 5 signs I showed you in someone, don't confront them. Don't try to change them. Don't try to prove anything. Just distance yourself. Jung was clear. You can't cure another person's shadow self. Only they can do that work. And until they do, any proximity you maintain will be toxic. So start creating space. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need a fight. Just stop sharing your victories with that person. Stop seeking their validation. Stop expecting them to celebrate you, because they won't. And the more you expect it, the more you'll get hurt. Emotional distancing is protection. And protection isn't coldness, it's wisdom. Second technique, stop feeding the dynamic. Envious people feed off your reaction. They provoke you, belittle you, test you, and expect you to defend yourself, to justify yourself, to prove your worth. And every time you do, you feed the cycle. Jung called this the shadow competition dance. You react, they provoke more. You defend, they attack more. It's an infinite loop that only ends when you stop dancing. So how do you get out? You simply stop reacting. Someone downplays your achievement. You don't justify. You don't explain. You just smile and change the subject. Someone gives you backhanded compliments. You thank them superficially and move on. Someone competes with you. You don't enter the competition. Because here's the secret. Envy only works if you give it power. The moment you stop seeking approval from that person, they lose the power to hurt you. Genuine indifference is the best defense against envy, because envious people need your attention to survive. Remove the attention, and they wither. Third technique, strengthen your inner self. And this is the most important. Jung said that the best protection against the shadow self of others is to have a strong self. An internal identity so solid that external opinions don't shake you. When you know who you are, when you trust your value, when you don't depend on external validation to feel complete, the envy of others simply slides off. It doesn't hit you because you aren't seeking anything from them. Think, why does someone's jealousy hurt you? Because on some level you still depend on that person's approval. You still want them to see you, to value you, to celebrate you. But when you develop an authentic self, that need disappears. And you know what happens then? You stop attracting envious people because they perceive unconsciously that you're no longer an energy source for them. You don't react, you don't flinch, you don't feed, and toxic people always go where the energy is easy. If you don't offer easy energy, they'll leave on their own. So how do you strengthen yourself? By doing the work that Jung called individuation. Knowing your shadows, accepting your flaws, honoring your truths, living aligned with your values, not with external expectations. The more you know yourself, the less you need others to define you, and the less you need them, the freer you become. What to do if the envious person is family? Now, I know what you're thinking. But what if the envious person is my mom, my brother, my dad? And here's the hardest truth to accept. Family isn't an exception. Jung was revolutionary in saying that some of the most toxic dynamics happen within families because there's a cultural belief that blood guarantees love. But it doesn't. Blood guarantees kinship. Love is built through respect, empathy, genuine support. And if someone in your family is jealous of you, sabotages you, belittles you, that person isn't loving you. They're using you to feed their shadow self. So what do? You still apply the same techniques: identify, distance, stop feeding, strengthen yourself. The difference is that with family, the distancing can be emotional, not necessarily physical. You still go to dinners, still participate in parties, but you stop sharing your vulnerabilities. You stop seeking validation. You create an internal boundary that protects your essence. Jung called this love with boundaries. You can love someone and still protect yourself from them. You can maintain contact and still not allow them to destroy you, because true love never demands that you erase yourself. And if someone, family or not, only manages to love you when you're small, weak, failed, that's not love. It's control disguised. The difference between envy and admiration. Before finishing, I need to clarify something important. Not all comparison is envy. There's a fundamental difference between envy and genuine admiration. Admiration inspires you to grow. Envy inspires you to destroy. When you admire someone, you think, I want to achieve that too. When you envy someone, you think, I want them to lose that. Admiration celebrates. Envy sabotages. Admiration is generous. Envy is petty. And how do you differentiate in practice? By what the person does when you achieve something. If they congratulate you without reservations, encourage you to grow more, offer you genuine help, that's admiration. If they praise you but add criticisms, subtly discourage you, change the subject quickly, that's envy. Jung said that admiration is born from a healthy self. Envy is born from a sick shadow self. So don't confuse them. Not everyone who recognizes your qualities envies you, but everyone who envies you will try to disguise it as admiration. And the difference lies in the details, in the tone of voice, the glint in their eyes, the speed with which they change the subject, the way they react to your victories versus your failures. Your unconscious knows the difference. Trust it. Closing, the freedom from needing approval. I'm going to leave you with one last thought from Jung that changed my life. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. Do you know what that means? That as long as you're seeking external validation, waiting for others to celebrate you, value you, approve of you, you'll be at the mercy of someone else's envy. Because envious people will never give you what you seek, and the more you seek it, the more power you give them. But when you look within and build an authentic self so solid that it doesn't need external approval, you free yourself. You stop attracting envious people. You stop getting hurt by criticism. You stop depending on compliments to feel worthy. And then you realize the most liberating truth of all. You never needed them. You only needed yourself. So today, right now, make a choice. Are you going to keep seeking approval from people who envy you? Or are you going to start the work of individuation and build a self so strong that other people's envy simply doesn't affect you anymore? The choice is yours. But remember, Jung warned us. And now you know the signs. If this content resonated with you, if you recognize someone, or recognized yourself in some of these patterns, leave a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel. Because every week I bring you more analytical psychology content from Jung to help you protect yourself, to grow, and to become who you really are. Thank you for watching. And remember, your unconscious always knows. Learn to listen to it. Legal disclaimer. This content is based on the concepts of analytical psychology by Carl Jung and is for educational and informational purposes. It is not a substitute for professional psychological or psychiatric care. If you are facing emotional or relational difficulties, seek help from a qualified professional. The situations and examples mentioned are illustrative and based on behavioral patterns studied by psychology and should not be used as a diagnosis. Each case is unique and deserves individualized evaluation.